A mechanic in Osaka just posted a video that broke the internet in Japanese car forums. It went viral, over 4 million views in 2 weeks. The comments section flooded with people saying it saved their car. The method costs nothing, it takes 10 minutes, and it fixes one of the most misdiagnosed, most expensive problems in modern vehicles. Low power mode, no scanner, no dealership, no $150 diagnostic fee just to be told we will need to keep it for 3 days. Today I am breaking down the exact Japanese method, step by step, and explaining why your car goes into low power in the first place, because once you understand that, the fix makes complete sense. First, let us talk about what is actually happening when your car loses power. Your engine is not just a mechanical system anymore. It is a network of sensors constantly talking to your ECU, that is your engine control unit, the brain of the car. The ECU receives data from dozens of sensors every second. Throttle position, airflow, oxygen levels, coolant temperature, boost pressure. When one of those sensors sends a reading that falls outside normal parameters, the ECU does not guess. It does not wait. It immediately restricts engine output to protect itself. That is low power mode. Some manufacturers call it limp mode. Some call it reduced power mode. Different names, same story. Your car is telling you something is wrong, and it is limiting performance until the problem is resolved. Here is where most people get it wrong. They drive straight to the dealership, hand over the keys, and get handed a bill for $800 minimum. Or they go to an auto parts store, get the car scanned, see a generic code like P0120 or P2135, and have no idea what to do next. The code gives you a category, not a cause, and that is the gap this Japanese method fills perfectly. The method comes from a systematic diagnostic philosophy that Japanese technicians, particularly those working on high-mileage Honda, Toyota, and Nissan vehicles, have refined over decades. They call it Kakunin, which roughly translates to confirmation before correction. The idea is simple. Before you replace anything, confirm which system is actually failing. Because in 80% of low-power cases, nothing needs replacing at all. Let us get into it. Step 1. Start the engine cold and watch the tachometer for 60 seconds. Don't touch the gas pedal, don't rev it, just let it idle. A healthy engine will settle between 700 and 1,000 revolutions per minute within about 30 seconds of startup. Write down what you see. If the idle is hunting, bouncing up and down, or if it drops below 600 and feels rough, that tells you one thing immediately. The throttle body, or the idle air control valve, is dirty or failing. These two components regulate how much air enters the engine at idle. When they are caked with carbon deposits, and they absolutely will be after 50,000 miles, especially on direct injection engines, the airflow gets restricted and erratic. The engine control unit sees unexpected airflow numbers, panics, and drops the car into low power mode. Japanese mechanics noticed something specific here that most American technicians overlook. The symptom is almost always worse on cold starts. If your car runs fine after it warms up but struggles in the first few minutes, that is almost always throttle body contamination. Carbon deposits harden when cold. They loosen slightly with heat, so the cold start is your diagnostic window. Step 2. Open the hood and locate the vacuum lines. Every engine has a network of rubber vacuum hoses, small, usually black or sometimes blue, running between the intake manifold, the brake booster, the PCV valve, and various sensors. These hoses carry negative pressure, vacuum, that helps operate everything from your brake assist to your fuel pressure regulator. When one cracks, splits, or pops off at a connection point, Outside air rushes in unchecked. The mass airflow sensor does not measure that air because it entered downstream of the sensor. So the engine control unit, ECU, is calculating fuel delivery based on incomplete air data. The mixture goes lean. The engine stumbles. Low power mode kicks in. Here is the Japanese mechanic trick that nobody in American shops does routinely. Take a can of carburetor cleaner or brake cleaner. With the engine running at idle, spray short bursts along each vacuum line and around each connection point. Do not spray it directly into the intake, just short, targeted bursts along the hoses. If the idle speed changes, even slightly, even just a hiccup, when you spray a specific area, you found your vacuum leak. That spot is where unmetered air was sneaking in. It is that simple. No smoke machine, no $300 leak detector, a $6 can of cleaner, and 60 seconds of patience. The Japanese forums documented this method across hundreds of Toyota Corollas, Honda Civics, and Nissan Sentras with over 100,000 miles on them, and the success rate for diagnosing vacuum leaks this way was over 90%. Real owners, real results, real cars. Step 3. Check the MAF mass airflow sensor. This is where people waste the most money. The MAF sensor sits inside your air intake tube right after the air filter. It measures the exact volume of air entering the engine so the ECU knows how much fuel to inject. When it gets contaminated, and it will, with oil vapor from the crankcase vent system and fine dust that slips past the air filter, it starts sending inaccurate readings. Your ECU is getting wrong air data, so it delivers the wrong fuel amount, power drops, and the system logs a fault. Japanese technicians do not replace the MAF sensor as a first response. They clean it. There is a specific MAF sensor cleaner, not throttle body cleaner, not brake cleaner, not WD-40, that evaporates completely without leaving residue. About $8 at any auto parts store. You unclip the sensor from the intake tube, spray 4 or 5 short bursts directly onto the thin wire filament inside, let it dry for 60 seconds and reinstall it. That's it. In documented cases across Japanese technical forums, this step alone resolved the low-power fault in roughly 40% of cases without touching anything else. 40%. And the part that would have been sold? An $80 to $200 MAF sensor that did not need replacing. Step 4. Inspect the throttle body. With the engine off and the air intake hose disconnected, look inside the throttle bunny with a flashlight. What you are looking for is carbon buildup on the throttle plate, the butterfly valve that opens and closes when you press the accelerator. On a clean throttle body, that plate and the bore around it should be shiny. If you see black, greasy, crusty buildup, that is your problem. The plate cannot fully open. The engine control unit commands it to open, and the sensor reports it is opening, but physically, it cannot reach the position the sensor is reporting. That mismatch is exactly the kind of discrepancy that triggers low power mode immediately. The clean step is straightforward. Spray throttle body cleaner onto a clean rag, not directly into the throttle body, and wipe the plate and bore until the carbon lifts off. Some buildup requires a soft brush. On engines with electronic throttle control, which is most cars built after 2005, you will need to perform a throttle body. Relearn procedure after cleaning. This takes about 2 minutes. Turn the key to the on position without starting the engine. Wait 3 seconds. Press the accelerator to the floor slowly and hold it for 5 seconds. Release it slowly. Turn the key off. Wait 10 seconds. Start the engine normally. The engine control unit recalibrates the throttle position at rest, and the low power condition often clears instantly. Hey, before we finish the last two steps, if this is saving you money right now, do me a favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this content is actually useful, and it helps us keep making these videos. Step 5. Check the oxygen sensors for contamination signals. You do not need a scanner for this one. Start the engine and let it reach operating temperature. Then, hold the RPM steady at around 2000 by resting your foot lightly on the gas. Watch the exhaust from the tailpipe if you can see it, or pay attention to how the engine feels under that steady load. If it surges slightly, a subtle rhythmic rise and fall in power, even though your foot is not moving, the upstream oxygen sensor is likely contaminated or lazy. A healthy oxygen sensor switches rapidly between rich and lean signals, dozens of times per minute. A degraded sensor switches slowly, and the ECU cannot fine-tune the fuel mixture fast enough. The engine runs inconsistently. The ECU, seeing unpredictable combustion data, pulls power back as a precaution. Japanese mechanics developed a test using something every driver has access to: fuel. Add a high-quality fuel system cleaner to a full tank, not the dollar store variety, but a proven formula like Techron or Redex. Drive the car for a full tank, particularly with some sustained highway driving at consistent speeds. The detergent in quality fuel system cleaners can restore oxygen sensor response in cases of mild contamination. 3 documented cases on the Honda Tech Japan forums showed low power codes clearing completely after 1 tank of treated fuel. It does not work every time, but in mild cases, it can be effective. Step 6. The final confirmation. This step is what separates the Japanese method from random guessing. After completing steps 1 through 5, clear any stored fault codes. You can do this with a $20 OBD reader from Amazon. You do not need a full diagnostic tool, you only need the ability to clear codes. If you do not have one, disconnect the negative battery terminal for 15 minutes, then reconnect it. That clears the ECU short-term memory and erases pending faults. Now drive the car for 15 minutes with a mix of city driving and light highway driving. If the low power condition does not return, the method worked. The fault was a sensor signal issue or a contamination issue, not a mechanical failure. No parts, no labor charges, no dealership. If the warning light comes back within that 15-minute drive, you are dealing with a genuine mechanical fault, such as a failing sensor that needs replacement, a damaged component, or something structural. At that point, you will need a scanner and potentially a professional. The advantage is you have already ruled out the most common causes, which account for the majority of low-power cases on the road today. You go into that shop conversation informed, and you know what has already been eliminated. That alone saves you from being upsold on parts you do not need. Dealerships and independent shops are not all crooked. However, the incentive structure often rewards replacement over cleaning. A cleaned MAF sensor pays the shop nothing. A new MAF sensor plus 1 hour of labor pays them $200. The Japanese approach flips that on its head. Start with the simplest, cheapest fix first. Verify before you spend. Kakunin before correction. One more thing worth knowing. The leading causes of low power mode, ranked by frequency according to data compiled from Japanese technical service bulletins, are throttle body contamination, vacuum leaks, MAF, sensor contamination, oxygen sensor degradation, and failing throttle position sensors. The first 3 on that list are all addressed by this exact method, which means, statistically, if you follow these 6 steps, you have a better than 60% chance of resolving the problem for under $15 and in under 10 minutes without ever setting foot inside a shop. That's the method. Simple, systematic, effective, built on decades of real-world experience from mechanics who work on cars. The rest of the world drives into the ground and then fixes for another 100,000 miles. If this video helped you, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment below telling me which step fixed your car. I read every single one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.